So here's a personal story I have about debt collection. So under 1692 subsection E, when it comes to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, my father, before he passed away, unfortunately did not make the best financial decisions in life. And on more than one occasion, I think had to do the payday loans, where they essentially the check cash advanced, like get your paycheck now. Well, one of the unseemly things that those individuals tend to do that are in that business is they take your debt, and even after you've paid like 200% interest, an unbelievable amount of interest, they package your information and they sell that information to someone else, or it ends up packaged into some kind of information packet that people purchase, and that there are these very unruly and unlawful people, seemingly always in the state of Florida for some reason. And they essentially violate this provision over and over and over again. I would get phone calls all the time because I think at some point my dad listed me as a material contact on whatever documents he filled out. Never had my consent. I never had any involvement. I never co-signed on anything. Had nothing to do with this. Had no idea how they got my phone number. But they would call and be like, "Are you related to your father?" Yes, of course I'm related to my father. It's my father. And they would say, "Well, he owes this money, and we have a warrant going out, for his arrest," which is illegal. Whoever is trying to collect a debt cannot make misrepresentations under subsection E. If they make misrepresentations, that's a civil penalty. It could be $1,000 to $1,500 fine plus reasonable attorney's fees, which could be much, much higher than that. And so he would call me all the time and be like, "Oh, they said they're going to send the police." And I'm like, "Dad, they're lying to you." Like, I asked them, I'd call them and I'd call them back, right? I'd have their number, call them back, be like, "Who's this?" They'd say, "Legal department." I'm like, "Great, legal department. Okay. What is your address? What's your physical address? Because I'm going to sue you. And so I need to serve you documents. Where are you? Who are you people?" And they'd just say, "Oh, legal department. Okay. Let me talk to an attorney. Give me an attorney there. What's his bar number? Who's his malpractice insurance carrier? Who can I sue? Who can I serve documents to?" And they would never answer. They would just do all these different things that it's illegal for them to say that they're a legal department if they're not actually working for lawyers. It's illegal for them to misrepresent who they are. They can't misrepresent how much money you owe. They can't misrepresent whether or not a statute of limitations has passed. They can't make any of those misrepresentations, and that happens all the time. That kind of stuff happens all the time, which is why you have to have attorneys like me, because there are people out there, they don't even know what their rights are, right? And usually good, honest people, like people like trying to make these payments, and they don't even know, like they get behind and they're like, "Oh man, I can't make these payments." And then they pay, and they paid, 2, 3, 4 times the principal amount, and they think it went away, right? They're like, "Oh, well, I thought I paid that off, but I actually don't know. I mean, I got behind and I missed some payments. Maybe I do owe them some payments," and they send them money. This happens with old discharged medical debt as well. There's been many instances where medical debt has passed the statute of limitations, and people are trying to call and collect, usually for people who are older, infirm, maybe they have some cognition issues. And what they're actually trying to do is they're trying to get you to reaffirm the debt. Because in some jurisdictions, you can reaffirm the debt. So even though statute of limitations has passed, essentially if you say, "Oh, well, no, I will pay that debt," you like reassume the debt, and then they can sue you again for that amount of money. So just know that if you've been harmed, if you've been in a car accident, you are wrongfully terminated, you get behind, like you still have a lot of civil rights and protections under state and federal laws. Like in the state of Washington, we have a really strong Consumer Protection Act. And even though some of the rules that I've outlined in other videos dealing with the FTC, they don't apply, or they don't give an individual personal cause of action, so I can't sue under that federal statute with the new regulations. But what I can do is, let's say someone has, illegal and deceptive online practices. They're like advertising like, hey, we have 100 Google reviews. We're the best ever. And it turns out that's all a sham and you're harmed because of that. Well, we could report it to the FTC, and the federal government might investigate that. But what I can do is I can go to state court and I can say, well, look, Your Honor, the state of Washington's Consumer Protection Act violation is actually frameworked and based to supplement the federal Fair Debt Collect Practices Act, the Federal Trade Commission's rulings. These are things that inform, they're very persuasive. They give us justification as to why we can bring these kinds of unlawful and deceptive practices in civil court. And so I can use that in order to help prove the case. So the reason that people need plaintiff's attorneys, particularly like that, is because there are companies, there are unscrupulous people. There are good, of course, there are good companies, but there are people who are specifically predatory. They're trying to prey on people who don't know their rights, who don't know that they can't be harassed. They don't know that they have a right not to be discriminated in the workplace. All of these things happen all the time. And so that's one of the reasons why I got into the practice of law, because, at the time I was much younger then. My dad unfortunately passed away several years ago, and my mom passed away when I was in college before I ever even went to law school. And so I didn't have the opportunity to help them. So that's why I'm here, is because I want to help you. I want to help people who are harmed the way that they've been harmed. So that's my little personal story with unscrupulous debt collectors.